Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Tom Sawyer Show here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thank you for joining us. And of course, we're brought to you today by Wellington's Pub and Grill. Coach Tom Sawyer again joining us. Thank you. Congratulations on the win this weekend. But kind of as always, I don't want to cloud anything. I want to get your reaction to the game, even after the win.
St. Cloud anything? Yeah, it actually was really a good trip. I mean, that's a long day. You know, it's 3.5 hours up there. You know, we left at 9 o'clock in the morning for a 6 o'clock game at night. So there's a lot of parts that go into place trying to get our kids in the right frame of mind on a long travel day like that. But you know, it saves us money, and there's not a whole lot to do during the day except sleep anyway. So we put them on a bus. And we came out ready to play. We were a little bit sloppy offensively, I thought, at the beginning of the game, but we overcame that. We didn't have any panic when we had some opportunities that we didn't get right away, although we did score on the first drive. Right. But overall, I think we saw quite a few things that we improved on from week 1 to week 2, and we hope to continue to build on that.
All right, 34-10 was the final score. You had a 17-10 halftime, and so the second half was pretty much all Warriors. Was it all Warriors on the offensive end? Was it defensive, just the kind of clamp down on defense in the second half?
Yeah, I think our defense played pretty well the whole game. Obviously they have some holes too that they were struggling at, a little bit in the coverage stuff later in the game, but I think our offense finally started playing. I didn't think we played particularly well up front, and Jake's here today. He'll talk about it probably a little bit too, but you know, when those guys are playing well and playing at a level that they can, that opens up holes for Eric Berth, Javian, and the guys that run it back, but it also then provides opportunities for Darren to stand back there and throw the ball. So, you know, we went from no sacks the first week to a couple the second one. We want to reverse that trend and get back to no sacks. All
right, let's kind of take things one at a time. First, the rushing game. Eric Berth did have 3 touchdowns on the ground. I think it was less than 100 yards total of rushing. I don't know if that bothers you all that much. As long as you get the ball in the end zone, it probably doesn't matter. But I know that you've been a big fan of Eric Berth since he came to Winona State, and probably happy to see him score 3 times last week.
Well, he scored twice. The stat was wrong, so Javian Roebuck scored the third one, but yeah, it was in the paper or in their press release wrong. But yeah, I've been a fan of Eric since he was a young boy at Winona High. I mean, we knew that he was going to be a kid that we hoped would stay close to home, and he did. He's really playing particularly well, and people say, well, how come he's not playing as much? We're rotating backs. He's had a long history of injuries, and so right now he's healthy. We want to keep him that way. And so with Javian Roebuck, a transfer in, and then we played Sam Santiago Lloyd and Landon Jacobson. So we brought 4 guys with. We brought them for a reason, and right now that rotation is working well for us. Each back does things a little bit differently. But really, it starts up front, and then we'll do our job. But Eric Berth has been a different cat this year, and I'm really excited for him personally and also on the football field. All
right, let's talk the passing game a little bit. Darren Bankin, 13 of 28, 196 yards and a touchdown. Threw to 8 different receivers again, which, again, we've talked about that over the last few years. It's kind of a hallmark of the Winona offense. Is that just the receivers are getting open, and so he's throwing to different ones? Is it designed so that you have to spread out the defense a little bit?
Well, we rotate a bunch of guys, so we're running the same play, and it could be 3 different guys catching the same pass over the course of a game. But we do have a really big group of receivers. We have some that are new in the program that are still learning some things. We have some guys that have been around a long time that are coming off injury. So right now, the first 2 weeks, we've had, well, in 2 games, we've had 18 different guys catch a ball, and so with that. I think it makes it difficult for a defense. Not just shutting down one guy, but we got a freshman making a catch here, and we got a 5th-year senior making a catch over here, and I think it makes it difficult for the defense to attack us.
Isaac Franzen had 3 catches, 49 yards, as leading receiver, and a touchdown. Any surprises from anybody that you saw on offense this week?
No, I think it was nice to see Javian Roebuck get up. He was hurt really the first game, so we didn't play him very much. So he scored on about a 26-yard run as well. Isaiah Franson has been nursing some injury, and you can start to see what he can do for us. We just got to get that group to cohesively be together, and if that takes place, I really think it could be dynamic. But those 2 guys are taking that next step in our offense. It'll really be weapons down the road.
All right, let's talk defense a little bit now. You got a couple of interceptions in the game and a couple of sacks in the game. Overall, how did the defense play?
Well, they're playing at such a fast tempo that it really causes problems. Their quarterback didn't have a whole lot of time to sit back there and read a lot of things, and we had a couple picks, and they're playing really well up front. They're playing physical. They're playing fast. Rotating 6 guys up there too, and so at each level we're starting to see more and more plays. When guys do things right, the plays come to them, and then we're starting to see that. So I think that at all levels, they're playing right now together, and that's critical in the style in which we play.
I know this isn't really a fair question, but obviously #1 defense last year, talked about defense kind of every game. Is the defense this year kind of playing to that level? Is it a kind of separate thing? How would you rate that?
I think they're playing at that level. You got to think about who we're playing, also, and it's an 11-game season, so you're going to get some teams that run the ball all the time, and that helps your passing stats and so on. And we went into one of the best offenses in the league in the first week, and St. Cloud, rushed the ball well the first week and had a 100-yard rusher, but we've only given up 2 touchdowns. So I think that's the big number is we're keeping people out of the end zone in the first 2 games, and that's going to be important, especially this next week with Moorhead. Yeah,
St. Cloud was also 6 of 19 on 3rd down conversions and only tried 1 4th down conversion. Didn't get that. Does that kind of speak at all to the way the defense is playing? Yeah, we want to put them in bad situations. We want to put them in 3rd downs where we can pressure them up, or get them behind the chains a little bit where it's 2nd and long and 3rd and long. Because then we can get after them and really, let our athleticism really play. And we've been doing that quite a bit. So with the pressure that we're putting on the quarterbacks, they might feel comfortable for a little while, but pretty soon that pressure is going to hit. And when it starts coming, it comes in bunches. And I feel like the teams we're playing right now, both quarterbacks anyway, have really, felt like, oh my gosh, these guys are coming from everywhere. And that's what we want them to feel. I want to talk about the NSIC as a whole. There's only 3 teams in the NSIC that don't have a win through 2 weeks. So there's kind of a lot of parity within the NSIC. Is that kind of what you expected coming into the season? Yeah, the way the schedule laid out, it's kind of, pretty much what we thought it would be. You look at, Augustana got beat the first week by Moorhead, and then Moorhead got beat by Southwest, who got beat by St. Cloud. And so those games you kind of shaking your head a little bit. But, every week's going to be a different story in the Northern Sun. I think that there's a lot of parity in the league. And overall, the league isn't, we don't have that big, huge monster team, but we have a lot of really, really good ones, and every weekend is a challenge. All right. Is there anything that maybe didn't show up in the stat sheet or in the post-game wrap that really stood out to you in the game this week? Well, I think that, even though things didn't go right all the time for us, our football team's not panicking, Justin. I think that we're playing at a pretty mature level. Of course, we're immature at times, but overall team is playing pretty mature, and we're not having that big, real high and then that real big low, and I think that's a sign of some maturity on the team. And we hope to carry that through, where if something bad happens, we don't go in the tank. And that's happened. We've had some kids that have, but not as an overall group, and I'm really proud of those guys for that. All right, we are going to take a quick break here on the Tom Sawyer Show, and when we come back, we'll get the player perspective. We'll start out on offense with Jake Grunholz right after this.
With so many new items on the menu at Wellington's Pub and Grill, you're in for some tough decisions. 6 different salads, homemade soups, huge wraps, juicy steaks, the Wells' own smokehouse ribs, and as always, the best burgers in town. See, we told you it wasn't going to be easy. Log on to wellingtonspubandgrill.com for daily lunch and evening specials. With so many choices for lunch and dinner, you can never come to this well too often. Ever wish you could just swing by the local office to pay your bill quickly rather than calling a toll-free number and speaking to a machine? When you join the HBC family, you get that and so much more with local office locations and customer care. Whether you have general questions or would like to upgrade your services, HBC is here in your community, providing an unrivaled, personalized experience. Switching is easy and installation is free, and we're so sure you'll love HBC, we offer a 30-day guarantee. Visit hbci.com to learn more or call 888-474-9995 to experience the HBC difference.
Fox Thursdays.
The game is simple. You name the song, I give you some money.
It's time to make sweet music with host Jamie Foxx.
But this ain't Dancing with the Stars.
It's a race against the clock.
Man versus machine.
As 3 teams battle it out.
Somebody's about to go down.
For $1 million.
That's so much money.
Beat Shazam Thursdays or watch anytime on demand or Fox Now.
You ready for this?
Yep, here we go.
I'm really nervous.
We're moving in together for the first time.
To our brand new book, Love You.
I lied and hurt a lot of people.
You burned me a few times, and that's where I was just like, no more.
I'm gonna be responsible for your kids.
Why would I do that? Have I ever asked you for money?
No.
Get it together.
If you're my sister and you have love for me,
Go over there and be honest with her.
Do you want to stay in this relationship?
Welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show on HBC TV 25, brought to you by Wellington's Pub and Grill. Time now to talk to the players, and Coach, you brought one of your mainstays on the offensive line today.
Yeah, Jake Reynolds. Jake, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here.
You know, the first question I have for you is we're talking a lot about the rushing game, and we've put a lot of pressure on you guys coming into the year with, you know, with a new quarterback and healthy running backs. Why don't you give us an assessment of how you think you guys are now and where you're going in the future?
I think we're not where we want to be, but I think we're in a good position to be where we need to be in these next week, obviously. Last week we sputtered a little bit. Was having a hard time getting hat on a hat. Some of our schemes were miscalculated, I guess, between the offensive line, so that was tough for us, but we seemed to battle back in the second half and kind of got it rolling there. So,
you know, 3 of the 4 guys, or actually 4 of the 5 guys, been together now for quite a while. And how important is that in the offensive line play to have that kind of experience and guys and buddies of yours that you've been playing with for 4 years?
I don't know. It's something that I can't really say. Probably a lot of people get to experience. I think I've played next to Vince for 30 games probably now. Valley probably 20, and TJ's probably at close to 20 now, so a lot of experience, and those are like my guys, so there's no waste of words talking when we need to get things figured out, so we're all on the same page.
I want to ask you a couple of like technical kind of game type questions. Because I think offensive line is a bit of a mystery. People don't talk about it a whole lot. You don't always get the spotlight that you deserve. So let's kind of talk about, on average, if you can kind of ballpark it, during a game, how often do you line up against the same guy, have to block the same guy during a game?
I would say probably 30 to 40% of the time. It's usually probably going to go against 3 to 4 to 5 guys, not including linebackers. So. You see a lot of pretty much everyone in the front 7, besides like some ends and stuff like that, but you get a lot of looks for a lot of different guys. So,
how long does it take you to figure out another defensive lineman's moves, where you kind of understand where he's going to go and how you need to block him in order to take him out of the play?
So when I watch film, I'll watch like obvious passing situations like 2nd and longs, 3rd and longs. You'll really be able to tell what the D-line is doing. And it's pretty easy. I mean, their moves are obvious. Whatever they're doing, bull rush, any type of move. So we just chart them and then keep track of them, and then work from there.
You know, you talk about another piece we've talked about, you know, all 3 weeks here is talk about Darren, and I know he's a good friend of yours, and you know, he's a different kind of quarterback than Jack was, but Darren, you know, really played through a lot of stuff the last couple of weeks, and how has that been for you? That you know, played 3 years with Jack Nelson now. You got one of your buddies playing back there as well.
It's a good experience. I know Darren's loving it, and we love having him. I mean, we've stuck with him when he was going through that, battling for, or he was playing 2nd string the whole time. So we were there with him through that. So it's good to see him on the field, and I think he's just having the time of his life. So.
You know, the last question I have for you is, you know, you're looking at your parents are obviously very involved with our program, started our parent organization and our game day experience, all the things that we have now. A lot of it has to do with your mom and dad. How fun is that now when we go to wherever we go? They're always there, and they're telling me about the whole new rig they got going for the next one. But how fun is that for you to have that kind of parental support?
I mean, it means everything to me. They've done that since I was a kid, you know, with me and my sister. So it's good to see them every week, you know, during the fall. It's tough during the off season, you know, I don't really see them that much, but and now it's nice. I got 2 nieces who are gonna really enjoy the jumping stuff and all the new we got this year. So it's fun. I enjoy it.
Well, let's kind of go off that question a little bit and ask what is their contribution to the game day experience? What are some of the things that they did or continue to do now with that?
I'm not really sure all the fine details that go into it, but they're there and they support, and that's all that really matters, I guess.
Okay.
Well, I think going with that, I'll answer a little bit more, but Mary, especially his mom, has been really active with our Facebook page. with the parent group. That, of course, has all of our stuff. But the tailgating, the group of parents that we have right now that have been there for the last 4 years, really started to be a little bit more dynamic in the tailgating. It became a bigger deal, and now we've ramped it up to, a city event. And I just want to give kudos to that parent group because they've been doing it for a few years. Now they're seeing kind of the fruits of their labor come out.
All right, last question that I have, again, kind of a technical question, but on your Twitter, you retweeted some highlights from Paul Preston from last year. So how much pride do you have in opening holes for running backs and holding off the defense so that the quarterback can find some receivers down the field? I mean, I know you, as offensive lineman, you don't have stats, so those kind of turn into your stats. How much pride do you take in that?
I mean, that's our number one goal. We should be over 200 rushing, which we haven't got these last 2 weeks, so that's a big deal for us. And it's demoralizing. I mean, that's how you win games. You run the ball and stop the run, and if we can do that and get back to what we were doing last year and kind of get the ball rolling, I think we'll be in a good spot.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us this week, and good luck on the game this weekend.
Thanks.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Tom Sawyer Show. When we come back, we'll talk defense. Cole of Liberty will join us right after this.
With so many new items on the menu at Wellington's Pub and Grill, you're in for some tough decisions. 6 different salads, homemade soups, huge wraps, juicy steaks, the Wells' own smokehouse ribs, and as always, the best burgers in town. See, we told you it wasn't going to be easy. Log on to wellingtonspubandgrill.com for daily lunch and evening specials. With so many choices for lunch and dinner, you can never come to this well too often.
Northland Outdoors is about so much more than the biggest fish or the hottest hunting spots. All across the Northland, there are amazing people with incredible stories to tell. We're going to find those stories and share them with everyone. Join us each and every week as we explore the Northland and experience some of the most exciting outdoor adventures in the country right here in our own backyard. This is Northland Outdoors.
Welcome back to the Forge.
Greatness is forged.
We're doing something that we've never done before.
When limits are tested.
Oh!
The hit series.
Oh my God, did you guys see that?
Everyone's buzzing about.
You will have to forge not 1, but 2 knives.
Ow! Hey, wait, is that oil?
Let's do this. Starting to ache, everything's spinning.
Starting to get a little nervous. Call an ambulance. This will cut.
An all-new Forged in Fire. Tuesdays at 9 on History.
NASCAR racing is about a whole lot more than just cars going around a track. It's about people who drive, people who engineer, people who plan, people who know how to put it all together. Meet the people who make the cars go round every week on Raceline. Watch Raceline here every week.
And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show here on HBC TV 25, brought to you by Wellington's Pub and Grill. And Coach brought some defensive players.
Yeah, Cole of Liberty is here. Cole, thanks for being here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, we're talking about offensive line and defensive line stuff today. And first question I have for you is, now as a second-year player, how has that really changed your role on that defensive line?
I think it being my second year, I've had a year to kind of get with the speed of the game. It's a lot faster than it was in high school, and I'm just really glad to be a part of it. It's great.
Another big part of it, as you were a state heavyweight champion in wrestling at Chautauqua, Wisconsin, but how important are those skills into what you do right now?
As well, it's really important because my hands are very important, grabbing onto the defenders and stuff like that. That's what wrestling taught me a lot. And my leverage, being able to use a good leverage, it really helps me a lot in football as it did in wrestling. So.
And another question I have on the defensive line, you go against Jake Gronholtz, and those guys have been around a long time, and you have battles there, but what's the most difficult part of playing defensive line in the Northern Sun?
I would say the amount that they throw the ball a lot, and it's a lot of 3 steps, so it's a lot of, a couple steps to the field, then turn and pursue the ball. So the physicality, the offensive lines, we play good offensive lines. Mm-hmm. So, we have to be physical, we have to play our best every single game in order to win. So. Mm-hmm.
I want to go back to the state championship in wrestling in high school, because I think Coach undersold it a little bit, because you were undefeated that season, and you were facing off against a guy who was undefeated. He was 48-0. I think you were 29-0 going into that match. Talk about that and about, you know, just what happened in there and, you know, being able to beat an undefeated wrestler.
Well, it was really nice to, I guess, obviously win that match, but my opponent, he was my friend. I mean, I was buddies with him kind of, so it was nice. I mean, we were kind of talking some smack before the match, but I mean, when it was all said and done, it was nice to, you know, win, obviously, and it was a nice cap to my high school career. So,
how much was it kind of redemption for you? Because I think the year before that you lost in the finals. The year before that you made state but didn't get. So, I mean, what was that like for you to finally get to the top?
What was a dream? I mean, ever since I was really little. I had guys above me that had been training me when I was in high school that would come back and wrestle with me that had previously won state at our school. And I just wanted to be part of those guys, get my name on the board in the wrestling room. So that was really my motivation, you know.
All right, let's go back to football. And we were kind of talking with Jake about how he blocks defensive linemen and how long it takes him to kind of get to know somebody's moves. On the other side, what's that like for you to go up against offensive linemen, and how do you figure out how to get past them?
Well, we watch film all week, obviously. Coach Barton does a really good job of getting us prepared throughout the week with the guys we're going to be going against. And, I mean, a lot of it's watching film, watching their hand placement, where they're going to be putting their hands in specific, you know, run-pass plays and, you know, kind of working on moves throughout the week that are going to counter what they're going to do to us. So,
who holds more, offense or defensive linemen?
I think offensive line holds quite a bit, but we do our fair share of holding too. But we can get away with it. I mean, for the most part, we can get away with it as far as, you know, the offensive line, you know, can't necessarily. But I mean, it's a battle in the trenches all the time, so it doesn't really matter.
You know, Justin's asked me a couple questions the last couple of weeks about the #1 defense last year. Now, what has changed? Are we better? And those kind of things. From a player's perspective, where are we and where we need to go to have an opportunity to be #1 again?
I think we just have to keep getting better every week. Coaches, they stress, you know, just focus on the next rep, the next play, and just take it one rep at a time, because you can't, I mean, we have to take it day by day and just keep getting better and better. If we don't, then we're going to start taking steps back, and that's not what we want. So,
Go ahead.
This will kind of be for both of you. You mentioned Coach Barton. What's it like to play for Zach Barton?
Oh, I love it. He knows how to get the best out of his players, and I mean, I've gotten so much better. We've all gotten so much better, you know, playing under Coach Barton, and he's a great guy, you know. Definitely don't.
Do you enjoy the excitability?
Yes. He gets me fired up every day. Doesn't matter. You could, you know, go into practice, you know, not really looking forward to it, and then the second he walks out on the field, he's bringing the juice. So.
The last question I have is, you know, playing in that scheme, we're rotating guys, but with the 6 down guys that we have right now, how important is it to get to really feel where each other are especially in your pass rush?
It's very important, because especially when we're pass rushing, we always have to try to stay as a balanced rush. So normally 2 guys on each side of the line of scrimmage. If we don't, then the quarterback will have a very good chance of escaping the pocket. And with the athletic quarterbacks we have in our conference, that's not what we want to do. So we want to try to keep them contained, and, you know, hopefully the edge guys can bring them to me, or I can push them out to the edge guys. So it doesn't matter.
All right, kind of last question area that I have for you. You had 2 of your wrestling teammates that are here at Winona State as well. What's that like to be playing with them here?
It's awesome. It's kind of just like high school all over again. One of my roommates is Johnny Chamberlain, my high school best friend, so it's great. I really enjoy it.
All right, and what was the decision then for all 3 of you, maybe not to go into wrestling, but to go into football in college?
Well, ever since, I mean, football has always been like my number one focus, and I guess with us, we liked wrestling, but we like football more, so we just all decided to come play for Winona, and it's been great. Haven't regretted it once.
I mean, it wasn't the recruiting visit at Bob's downtown?
Yeah.
When I met all 3 of you?
Yep, that was, when I couldn't eat a thing, yeah.
And actually, another big, I think, part of it is their head coach, Billy Knickerbocker, is a Winona State Warrior as well, a former player, and also the camp stuff that you guys were in. He was here for 3 years at camp, or all 4 years.
All 4 years.
All 4 years in the summer. So anyway, it's kind of fun connections.
3 for 1. That's pretty good for you then, too.
Yeah, and we got another one this year. Dawson Boyd is a quarterback in here this year, too, from a very good Chautauqua team last year as well.
All right, Cole, thank you for joining us, and good luck this week.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Tom Sawyer Show. When we come back, we'll talk about this week's opponent, Minnesota State Moorhead, right after this.
With so many new items on the menu at Wellington's Pub and Grill, you're in for some tough decisions. 6 different salads, homemade soups, huge wraps, juicy steaks, the Well's own smokehouse ribs, and as always, the best burgers in town. See, we told you it wasn't going to be easy. Log on to wellingtonspubandgrill.com for daily lunch and evening specials. With so many choices for lunch and dinner, you can never come to this well too often.
What's a Southern girl? It's waking up before the sun rises. It's loving the simple things in life like the dirt roads that lead you home. It's working hard to get what you want. It's hanging your own stands, breaking your own ground, and strategizing every little move for that one moment when everything you've worked for is standing right in front of you. Even if I fail a million times, I keep pushing myself till I'm exhausted, filthy, and about to give up. And that's when the adrenaline hits.
There's 5 things I care about: the economy, healthcare, sports, education, and respect for Tom Brady. I am inspiring America. You and I have a lot in common. Like this. Yeah. To be interesting, you've got to be interested. I'm not trying to be relatable. I'm elevatable.
Colin, you're on fire.
I may have just changed the entire world.
And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show, brought to you by Wellington's Pub and Grill. Last segment here, and we were talking about recruiting in the last segment, where you were talking to Cole Liberty about his recruiting visit. So, if the #1 question is, "Are you a Vikings fan?" and they say yes, is that kind of a strike against somebody?
Well, it is, especially here with Monday Night Football, and as we're taping this, kind of getting ready for the game tonight. The JV play on Monday nights. And so that's kind of how we look at it. But more importantly, when you talk about recruiting, it's about getting the right fit, and being a Packer fan helps.
So how much does it help then to go to a school where you have a connection and the head coach maybe played here, maybe was around from the area? I mean, does that help quite a bit?
It's a lot of our recruiting. A lot of our kids that we have on our team have an association to an alumni someplace. Their sister went here, their parents went here. At one time we had 80 combinations of brothers and or fathers and sons that played. And just a few years ago, when my son was still playing here, we had 6 of my college roommates all had players on our team at the same time. That's awesome. And and we build on that, the family atmosphere within our team, and we spend a lot of time with that. And in recruiting, it's huge, because the guys who played for us over the last 20 years really have a good understanding of what we're doing here, and they could see those kids on their own fields and then send them up our way.
All right, we have just about a minute left in the show, so let's talk about the game this week against Minnesota State Moorhead. Another one of those teams, 1-1 coming into this game. How do you match up against them?
I think we match up pretty well. They're an offensive team. They score a lot of points. They can score in bunches. So they throw a lot of bombs. That kind of an offense where they're gonna expose you if you. But in our secondary, I feel really confident about how we're playing back there and our pressure. Last week, they struggled a little bit, turned the ball over 7 times. So we hope to create some, disruption in their offensive tempo and really hold them down best we can. They're going to score some points. That's what they do. But our defense is up for the task.
All right, and last question, we'll get your plug-in for the luncheon this week.
Yeah, luncheon's on Thursday. Last week we started, it was great. It's always the first one, we don't get as many people as we thought, but Riverport does a great job. We're from 12 until 1 o'clock. We'll get everybody back to work by 1 o'clock, but it's really fun. Get to meet a couple players just like this. In fact, the format is very similar that we have here, but it's also a chance for our players to get in front of a group, and so it's a leadership piece as well. So very excited. We'll see you all at the Riverport at noon on Thursday.
All right, Coach. Thank you. Good luck this week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us here on HBC TV 25. We'll see you next week on the Tom Sawyer Show.